What's going on, everyone? I'm just your average, everyday Canadian nerd here to react to your average, everyday American man here to react to and learn from a list video featuring, of course, the wonderful and handsome Keanu Reeves. But the topic is actors that you may not know are Canadian. And judging from the top comment on this video, this list is woefully inaccurate, or lacking, I should say, such as there are names that are not recognized that are on this list, and names that are recognized that are not on this list, such as William Shatner, James Doohan, Michael J. Fox, Donald and Kiefer Sutherland, Ryan Reynolds, Christopher Plummer, Nev Campbell, and more. So we can assume that not only is Keanu Reeves in this list, but so would be Bieber and Dion. And I'm hoping that it mentions the wonderful Thomas and Moranis. And I kind of doubt that. But hey, let's find out as we get this picture out of the way and get this video underway. Go.
Just a typical average American here today
That was starting at 0, so we're just going to keep going.
to react and learn about the top 10 celebrities you did not know are Canadian. Or should I say, celebrities I did not know are Canadian,
Right.
which I expect to happen a lot here. And
Okay, so we're dealing with celebrities, not just actors, so we might also get musicians and more. Let's find out.
I'm assuming a lot of Canadians actually are very aware of Canadian celebrities, Canadian actors, but for some reason, every time in America, when Americans figure out a celebrity is Canadian, we're like, what, huh? What? I had no idea. And it's when you think about it, I mean, there's not much difference between Americans and Canadians at all. We sound exactly alike. We act alike. You know, it
I mean, more or less, but yeah.
shouldn't be all that surprising. Now, when Americans find out that a celebrity or an actor is from the United Kingdom or they have a British accent,
Like Idris Elba, right? Oh, everyone was shocked to find that one out.
like Christian Bale, Batman, when
Yeah.
I heard that, I was like, what? What is going on? You know, because that's like a whole accent change. That's a huge undertaking. Whereas with Canadians, it's more of just like this fun fact where we're like, really? They're from Canada? I had no idea. But there's really no reason that we shouldn't assume they're from Canada or from the United States. You know, it's perfectly reasonable, perfectly common. And
very common indeed, because there's a lot of celebrities in the United States who are not, in fact, from the United States. And sharing that giant undefended border, we definitely have a lot of crossover. Yeah.
I'm aware of a few Canadian celebrities. I feel like the one I know the most is Drake, who I just watched Drake growing up in Degrassi, The Next Generation.
From Toronto, that one.
Seriously, as a cast in Degrassi, the TV show.
Degrassi Junior High.
And then he became a famous rapper, and I was like, what? The guy from Degrassi became a rapper, and now he's known as a rapper, and so I knew he was Canadian because that's a Canadian show. And of course, Justin Bieber.
Of course.
For some reason, all Americans know that. Maybe for good reason, because he is incredibly famous, and it was bound to come out. His hidden secret that he's Canadian.
I don't think it was ever a secret.
Anyway, I'm very interested to see what other individuals on this list are Canadian. I think it'll be quite entertaining. So I'm ready to find out. Here we go.
All right.
10 celebs.
Oh, might want to rewind it. Here we go. Seth Rogen?
Any opportunity to
Yes.
enrich the lives
Seth Rogen, Canadian. From Vancouver, I believe.
of the Canadian people is an opportunity I will take.
Hey everyone, I'm Rebecca and welcome to Ms. Mojo. Today we're counting down our picks for the top 10.
I'm sorry.
Ms. Mojo, being a top 10. So, of course, we're only going to get 10.
Sorry, but Seth Rogen's on the list? Seth Rogen has been a part of so many movies that are such iconic classics in America now. that I really did assume he must just be an American.
Actually, a fair number of his crew that act in a lot of the same productions are also Canadian.
Based on that fact. See, I said it doesn't make sense for me to assume this, but I don't know why. It's just something Americans tend to do with celebrities. We just think everyone's from the United States for some reason. I don't know why that is.
It's the self-centered nature of the most indispensable country in the world, the greatest country, number one. It's a whole thing.
Celebs you didn't know are Canadian.
Oh, you're Canadian? I'm Canadian. Yeah, we all got it.
Stupid, useless Canadian money.
But she just
It
thinks of
is.
us as America's hat. Don't get it twisted.
You are America's fun, sweet hat.
See?
And America is our underwear.
For this list, we're looking at those famous folks that you might not have known were born in the second largest country in the world.
Yeah.
So grab yourself a bag of ketchup chips and a box of Smarties and pour yourself a glass of milk.
Ketchup chips and Smarties. Do Canadians love Smarties?
Well, Tyler, so you know Smarties as these chalky candies. We know Smarties as sugar-coated chocolates. Big difference, because your Smarties are our rockets, and our Smarties are like your plain M&Ms.
As well? Is that a thing? I like Smarties.
Oh, he doesn't even know.
Are Smarties that I'm thinking of the same that Canadians are thinking of?
Oh, he's cluing in.
The little tiny pills?
Yeah, okay, so that's what we call rockets.
I don't know.
Milk from a bag, and leave us a comment about your favorite Canadian celebrity.
Milk
in the
from a
comments
bag.
below.
Yeah. Milk
If you like
from a
what you're
bag.
hearing, be sure to check out the full song at the link below.
Okay. Why are they trying to make me? Okay, they want to promote their
I don't
song.
know.
I get it.
Want more cupcakes?
How many Canadians can say they've been nominated for 16 Choice Awards?
Shay Mitchell.
A name I do not recognize.
I'm not actually familiar with this actress. Maybe she's not in the types of shows I would watch, I'm guessing.
Want more cupcakes?
How many Canadians can say they've been nominated for 16 Choice Awards? Well, we know of at least one, and her name is Shay Mitchell.
Okay.
Yup. This pretty little liar is a pretty not so little, as she stands 5 feet 7.5.
Pretty Little Liar. I'm assuming that's a movie she was in. Okay, I'm looking up on my phone right now, and I don't recognize the face either. So moving on.
Inches Canadian.
And what's the biggest difference?
I feel like I might have heard of Pretty Little Liar. I've definitely never watched it, though.
I think the movie was called Pretty Little Liars. Pluralized? I don't know. I didn't see it.
Now, you've lived in the States, obviously, for a while. What's the biggest difference between the States and Canada, in your estimation?
The words that you guys have. So, like, sorry and sorry. I say it like how it's spelled.
Born.
Okay. See, I'm just now coming to terms with the fact that Canadians don't say a boot as much as I thought. It's been very hard for me to cope with that. But Canadians do say sorry instead of sorry. I think that one's true.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear a difference between those two sorries. And about the about, you just gotta pay really close attention when people around you say the word about, and you'll hear a slight ooh sound. It's ever so subtle, but it's totally there in a lot of cases.
I'm sticking to that one. You can't tell me that's not true.
Born in Mississauga, Ontario, this beauty was traveling the world as a model in her teens and got her big acting break when she was cast as Emily Fields in Pretty Little Liars.
Emily, when did you get back?
Okay?
Yesterday.
Okay.
I almost didn't recognize you.
Besides acting and modeling, this talented Canuck co-wrote a young adult novel titled Bliss in 2015.
Huh.
Number
Pretty
9,
good.
Aaron and Sean Ashmore.
Also, do not recognize the names.
Given that they're twins, if you knew that...
Yeah, I gotta pause this.
Okay, recognize the faces, so I guess they are, in fact, celebrities. You know, what, Dawson's Creek, right?
Lots of Americans know Aaron and Sean Ashmore from X-Men. and only X-Men.
Okay, yeah, Iceman.
Although maybe he was in some other stuff I just don't know about. So I won't say that, but I know him from X-Men. And I learned that he had a twin brother. And they really look a lot alike. Yeah, so I am familiar with him, and I certainly did not know he was Canadian. Or that he had a twin brother for a long time.
One of them was Canadian. You could have surmised that the other one was as well. However, there are probably many fans who aren't aware that either of these talented bros was born in the Great White North.
Johnny,
Yeah.
Johnny, I'm warning you.
Then where are the farms?
The identical twins were
Most of the farms would be in southern eastern Ontario. We've also got a lot across the prairies. I mean, it depends what kind of farm you're talking about, because we've also got some in Quebec, dairies especially, the maple farms.
born in British Columbia but raised in Ontario, and have both found a good amount of individual success in Hollywood.
Yeah, I think when a Canadian actor kind of has massive success in Hollywood in the United States, then Americans just immediately start thinking, oh, they must be American. They just must have grown up in the United States. That's like our default school of thought about famous Hollywood actors.
Yeah, they don't even consider that there's the rest of the world out there.
I get it.
However, while they've both been acting since the late 80s, early 90s, this is one of the few times they've actually worked together. The twins played, twins, in a season 3 episode of Fringe back in 2010.
Oh, that was a good show. It's a shame that it kind of fizzled.
Free now. It took me longer than I thought, but I never gave up.
Number 8, Nathan Fillion.
Oh, don't we just love Nathan Fillion?
Yeah.
Nathan Fillion. This is one of those actors who I feel like everyone has seen. You know, an actor where you've seen everywhere? You've seen him in every movie, but you don't quite know who he is. Or
Oh, that's too bad. That means Tyler's never seen Firefly. May they rest in peace.
his name. That's Nathan Fillion.
Still hurts.
So I've seen him in a million places. I never knew he was Canadian, especially since he's so... When I see him, it's for a TV show like about police, like American police or detectives. The Rookie, maybe? So I really thought it was like a very American show.
Castle is a very American show, and he's very much an actor. Who knew?
So this surprises me.
Look at that. Andy's picking the tomatoes out of his salad just like I do.
While Fillion has had American citizenship since 1997, he's had Canadian citizenship his entire life.
As a nation, we are stereotyped as being pleasant and kind and sweet and easygoing, and these are all true. Those stereotypes do exist in Canada.
Aha!
And I love it.
Born in Edmonton, Alberta, Fillion did both his high school and university studies in the oil-rich province. Nathan might be most widely known these days for his starring roles in Castle.
Castle! Yes! I have heard of this.
Which
That's a good show.
ended in 2016, and The Rookie, which...
The Rookie. This is why I thought he was American. Because The Rookie, it's like the most American show you can... It's like about cops having a good old time, you know.
Premiered just a couple of years later.
You make it sound easy.
Piece of cake.
Really?
However, to many of us, including Leonard Hofstadter and Raj Koothrappali, he will always be Captain Malcolm Reynolds.
That's right.
And as far as the experience goes, Fillion himself has called the Firefly gig the best acting job he ever had.
Now, you can luxuriate in a nice jail cell, but if your hand touches metal, I swear by my pretty floor bonnet, I will end you.
Number
I haven't
7,
seen that.
Seth
Oh, that's too bad. If you haven't seen Firefly and you're okay with getting your heart broken, then watch it because it's a good show.
Rogen.
Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen. This one really does surprise me. Because he really has been a massive part of a lot of Americans' lives. A lot of young Americans, not so young Americans now.
And if people didn't know he was from Canada, then they would just assume he was from California, right? Am I right? I'm right, right? Right.
A lot of his movies came out in the last 20-ish years. Hilarious comedies. Just such cornerstones of American popular culture that I definitely would never have thought that he was not, in fact, from the United States. I just wouldn't have thought that. Fascinating.
Today, I sat in my car, I smoked 10 doobies.
We don't know if it's irony, coincidence.
Yeah, everything he says is such perfect American comedy. He defined comedy in America for a long time. So this one really surprises me.
Yeah, that is funny because over decades, a lot of great comedians and musicians for the United States have come from Canada. And they just don't clue in that we're funny and talented like that. I don't know.
Or something else entirely, but it's true. One of the most famous pot smokers in the world comes from the home of some of the best pot in the world.
Wow.
Actor, producer, director Seth Rogen lives in Los Angeles now, but the knocked-up star was born and raised in the beautiful city of Vancouver, British Columbia.
Cool. I am honestly always looking for ways to participate in Canadian culture and to put the spotlight on Canada. I mention Canada a lot in our movies and our work. I play Canadian characters often.
Rogen started as a stand-up comic at a young age, and when he was 13...
God, look at him. I've never seen him that young.
He co-wrote the rough script for Superbad with Evan Goldberg.
Superbad, exactly. Superbad, lots of other stuff. Classics!
With whom he began a friendship after they met while attending bar mitzvah classes together.
Two friends with a talent to make people laugh, and just cocky enough to think they might be able to make films.
Number 6, Rachel McAdams.
Rachel McAdams.
Recognize the face, not the name, but that's okay. Moving on.
I feel like I've heard this before. Rachel McAdams is certainly in the last 20-ish years, I'm going to say. I'm going to be wrong on some of this. She was a massive movie star in America. You saw her everywhere. She was huge. She was in Mean Girls, iconic movie for a lot of people in America. Yeah.
So one movie.
I feel like maybe I heard that she was Canadian at some point. I don't know.
You want to do something fun? You want to go to Taco Bell?
I can't go to Taco Bell. I'm on an all-carb diet. God, Karen, you are so stupid.
While the rest of the world became aware of McAdams in 2004 when she starred in Mean Girls and The Notebook.
Yeah. All-carb diet. Okay, so there's actually a story of this Canadian fella, very picky eater, who would only eat white bread, Cheerios, and French fries. And he ended up with a giant blood clot in his leg known as deep vein thrombosis, and he also had some neurosensitivity issues, especially with his legs and feet, and turns out it was all caused due to a B12 deficiency because he would only eat carbs. And vitamin B comes mostly from meat proteins. Actually, the majority is from animal products, and if here in Canada, we assume people eat a varied, healthy diet, so we don't fortify Cheerios with extra vitamins like in America. So in America, yes, you can probably live off of white bread, French fries, and Cheerios. You might end up with scurvy, but you won't end up with a B12 deficiency that leads to blood clots anyways. Anyway, all-carb diet, let's just say, is one of the worst diets that you can have. Moving on.
Her fellow Canadians already knew who she was. Before making it big in Hollywood, the London, Ontario product had made a name for herself in Canadian movies and television, including her Gemini Award-winning performance in Slings and Arrows.
See, this makes sense to me.
There we go.
I would think this would be true of a lot of Canadian actors, although maybe they get their big break in a lot of Hollywood or American productions. But I would assume a lot of them started in productions in Canada and were known in Canada first.
So considering this Rachel McAdams, who I recognize but I don't know the name, starred in Slings and Arrows, are they going to mention the co-star Paul Gross, who is also a Canadian treasure from shows like Due South, movies like Passchendaele, and is currently on stage playing King Lear at the Stratford Festival? Yeah, move on.
But I guess it kind of depends on just where you get your work, where you start, what opportunity you get.
McAdams has since gone on to a very impressive career on the silver screen, earning multiple awards and a spot in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with her role in 2016's Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Going?
Yeah, Americans really love Rachel McAdams. She's like an American sweetheart, truly.
Tell me the truth.
Number 5, Elliot Page.
They're just glossing over Paul Gross, which is a shame because Paul Gross is amazing. He's a great actor, and if you get the chance to go to Stratford, Ontario to see King Lear this summer of 2023, worth it.
Oh. Yeah, I definitely didn't know Elliot Page was Canadian. Been in a ton of stuff in the United States, for sure.
And in some Canadian things, back when he was a she. Controversial statement, I know, but hey, I'm just going by the history here.
Yeah, very famous.
With breakout roles in Hard Candy and Juno, Page went from a known Canadian actor to a star across both sides of the 49th parallel.
It's really complicated, okay? And I don't feel like talking about it in my fragile state.
Yeah, now Elliot's known for, well, X-Men. Geez, a lot of classics a while ago, like Juno. Umbrella Academy.
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen some of these.
For the younger generation, the actor is probably best known for playing number 7 in the Umbrella Academy on Netflix.
That's funny, because I was just about to say the same thing.
Elliot was born in the beautiful city of Halifax, Nova Scotia, and is the only Eastern Canadian on the list. In 2021, Elliot became Time Magazine's first openly trans man cover feature.
How did that feel to be on that cover with your powerful words, "I am fully who I am"? Have you felt the liberation of that, the joy of that?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's an incredible sensation that I am experiencing, and it keeps unfolding.
I wonder if that voice change is going to be more prominent in the future because testosterone.
Number 4, Matthew Perry.
You know, you never know what's going to end up happening. You go.
Wait, Matthew Perry?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is probably, especially for fans of Friends. I mean, Friends is iconic in the United States. Maybe a lot of these are very popular in Canada. I haven't even...
Yes, they are very popular in Canada, yes.
Considered that. I don't know what popular shows are going on in Canada, or if a lot of the stuff made in the United States ends up being popular in Canada as well. I'm positive that happens. But man, the Friends nation, the Friends world, the army of Friends lovers.
The show is internationally famous. Like, most American content goes international, across the world. Like, wow.
Definitely exists in America. To this day, still growing. Everyone loves it. It will never die. And Matthew Perry. I mean, Friends in the United States is just considered so iconic. Like, just an iconic American show. One of the most of all time. Maybe the most iconic. So, in that sense, it surprises me that one of its main cast is a Canadian. But like I said earlier, it makes complete sense because we're not talking about a huge difference here.
Why not,
it's
right?
A Canadian playing an American. It's, it's not that big a leap at all.
Go out for a couple of beers and end up on a fishing boat to Nova Scotia. Really? Oh, yeah, it's a beautiful country up there.
From Martin Short to Jim Carrey and beyond, the Great White North has always been home to some very funny folks.
Yeah, Jim Carrey is Canadian, right? I remember I learned that a while ago, and I was like, what? This is like an idol to Americans. Like, just a magical, historical, iconic figure. We worship you, Jim Carrey.
Okay.
So it makes sense that when the Friends producers were casting the funny one, it was across the border that they found an actor who could pull off those great Chandler Bing lines.
Yeah. You know what? I got 2 tickets to tonight's Ranger game. You want to come with me?
I'm pretty sure they had a pretty difficult time casting Chandler because his lines were supposed to be like very easy because he's the funny one. He gets all the jokes, but no one could deliver the jokes correctly. And then they found Matthew Perry, and he could do it in his Chandler way.
Cute guys in little shorts? Sure.
Well, actually, it's a hockey team, so it's angry Canadians with no teeth.
Perry was raised in Canada's capital city of Ottawa, but holds dual citizenship and was actually born in Williamstown, Massachusetts to a Canadian mother and American father.
Oh.
However, his initial time in the United States didn't last long, as he and his mother moved to Canada after his parents divorced around the time of his first birthday.
There's no one around. Why don't we just take this one?
Moving back to Canada at 1 year old, basically raised in Canada.
And head to Canada.
I was kidding.
I wasn't. Let's get going.
Number 3, Sandra Oh.
Sandra Oh. I'm not familiar with much of her work, but I will always know her for Grey's Anatomy. I will always know her for that. And yes, I shamelessly did watch a little bit of that.
Never seen an episode myself. And I'm not the target demographic, so I'm okay with that.
It's a good show.
It's hard for me to accept compliments.
Huge show in the United States, I might add.
Also huge in Canada.
Like, when it was in its heyday, one of the biggest ever in America.
Because I'm Canadian. And in Canada, you cannot brag. They don't like you being all briggity-braggity. So the Canadian response to a compliment is... Sorry.
Not
a lot of Canadians seem very aware of the American stereotypes of them. And honestly use it for comedic effect a lot. But are Canadians very aware of how the United States perceives them?
Yes, and we are always looking forward to hearing the next stereotype or joke about Canada, because odds are it's not going to be very good or offensive, and we're going to be able to make it good and funny.
Because I find that very amusing to me, and a good sport, you know.
Not only is Canada filled with funny people, the country has also been the birthplace of some of the most important doctors in history, including one of the men who co-discovered insulin, Sir Frederick Grant Banting.
Ah, yes, the person that I always confuse with the one who discovered penicillin, who happened to be Louis Pasteur, a France native. Somehow I confuse the two. All the time. All the time. Am I getting it right now? Let's continue.
So it only makes sense that when Grey's Anatomy was casting one of the best surgical interns on the show, all they had to do was look across the border to find Sandra Oh and cast her as Christina Yang.
You should get some sleep. You look like crap.
I look better than you.
It's not possible.
Oh was born in 1971 in Nepean, Ontario, which at the time was an independent city.
This person said Nepean correctly. That is how we pronounce the city. Nepean.
But has since been amalgamated into part of the new city of Ottawa.
New city of Ottawa? I mean, okay, so when Toronto did that whole thing where they expanded and said the Greater Toronto Area, a bunch of other cities did the same thing. Ottawa was one of them, and it became the Greater Ottawa Area, but it's still Nepean, part of Ottawa. It's Nepean.
She's since gone on to receive rave reviews for her lead role in Killing Eve.
When his family told the truth, no one is ever allowed to know the truth.
Okay, so I haven't seen that show, but it just makes me think, like, is it about Eve who is getting killed, or is it about Eve who does the killing? And I hope it is the latter.
2, Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
Surprised?
I feel like maybe I've heard this, then forgot, and now it's jogging my memory. It's all coming back to me. Ryan Gosling is freaking beloved in the United States. He is worshipped. He's considered, you know, a very desirable guy by a lot of women.
So they say, yeah. And I remember one of his first roles was, I forget the name of the show. It was a Canadian show about this kid who ends up in a coma, and in this coma world, there's only kids, no adults, but he's looking for his dad, and there's a trail of evidence. And this kid was one of the kids in season 1, but he was not, in fact, the kid, nor one of the kid's friends. He was a antagonist. Moving on.
And honestly, I think everyone enjoys the movies that he's in. He's just a good actor. But I feel like I kind of knew he was Canadian, then forgot. So, yeah, okay.
Not only did Gosling and Rachel McAdams date, they also starred in one of the great romance movies of the 21st century.
Yeah, Gosling and Rachel McAdams were in The Notebook, which, oh my goodness, The Notebook was obsessed about for years in the United States.
And here in Canada as well.
It still is. Oh my goodness, it was Notebook hysteria. People obsessed about it.
And they were both born in the same Canadian city, just 2 years apart.
Wow.
So it's not going to be easy. It's going to be really hard. And we're going to have to work at this every day, but I want to do that because I want you.
The Drive star was born in London, Ontario in 1980, but his father was a traveling paper mill salesman, so the family moved around a lot.
I think it was very helpful to grow up.
Yeah, he's been in so much stuff. Like, you couldn't even name all the movies.
It's so helpful to grow up.
All the substantial Hollywood movies he's been in over the years, that he's just like A-list celebrity in the United States. Absolutely. So, interesting that he's Canadian. Pretty cool.
In Canada or in a small town, or because I think if you grew up here, it might be hard to remember that there's a world outside of it. But I always felt like I had something to go back to.
Yeah, that's it, right? It's when you grow up in the United States, you don't realize there's the rest of the world around you.
Yeah, he seems very down to earth as well, which of course I like.
Gosling is now a huge movie star, but had some mental and physical issues with academics as a child. After being homeschooled and dropping out of high school while simultaneously acting on TV, he focused on more serious acting, ultimately moving to the States.
How come you know all this shit? How come you don't?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to or all of
Keanu Reeves?
Keanu
Reeves. I mean, he's become one of the iconic, well, now action stars of the United States. And, you know, he was before with The Matrix. And before that, he was in some, like, funny stuff. Bill and Ted. Yeah. Keanu Reeves has just been around forever in Americans' minds and hearts. Americans love him. I don't think I've ever heard that he's Canadian. I did not know this.
That's a surprise, because we're all very aware of that.
I think, gosh, isn't he half Hawaiian as well? Where exactly are his parents from? Maybe Canadian Hawaiian? Am I remembering this correctly?
Wow. He is the one.
Not only is he the one, he's also Canadian. Keanu was raised in Toronto, but was born in Beirut, Lebanon in 1964, which makes all of us who saw Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in the theater feel nice and old now.
Yeah, it's hard to... You cannot overstate how, like, iconic Keanu Reeves is. Like, the United States is obsessed with him. We'll see any movie he's in. He defines popular American Hollywood to this day.
Oh yeah, John Wick and the dog, right?
From Speed to The Matrix, Reeves has put together a rather impressive career that spans over 35 years, and he shows no signs of stopping. Especially if they keep making John Wick movies every few years.
Yeah.
Although his name may mean cool...
It's funny because a lot of Americans would call him like a modern and classic American action star.
Yes, and then in his personal life, he is the modern and classic Canadian person.
Absolutely an all-American man.
A very real and genuine and kind and nice and gentle and strong.
But but he's Canadian, so I bet a lot of people don't know that.
Breeze over the mountains in Hawaiian. Reeves is still a hot, though his name may mean cool breeze over the mountains in Hawaiian. Reeves is still a hot Hollywood commodity today.
Yeah. Working again? No, just sorting some stuff out. Oh, well. I'll leave you be then. Good night, John. Good night, Jimmy.
Here is one way to spot a real Canadian. They will not misuse the word a. I definitely use it, but I don't misuse it.
Yeah, I've learned about a. It's more of a way to turn your sentence into a question, right? And it's at the end of the sentence. I'm learning.
And also an accent, an exclamation.
Some stuff, you know, retaining something in here.
Like, it's kind of a replacement for right, or do you agree? So
also, huh?
Like, I would say, this was a great list.
What does this have to do? What does this have to do with Canadian
Paused just a moment too soon.
Celebrities, okay.
That is correct. Anyway, be sure to let us know in the comments about your favorite low-key Canucks. Or come tell...
Okay, I think that's it. That was by Miss Mojo, one of the Watch Mojo channels. Very nice, very cool list. That was exactly what I was hoping for.
I suppose it was a quick 10-name list. He does quick videos. If it's a long video, he'll cut it in half. And 10 is a nice short number that's not easy to get mixed up or caught up in. Yeah.
Man, I think like 8 or 9 of those celebrities I had no idea were Canadian.
And like 1 or 2 of those celebrities I had no idea were even people. Like who were they? I still don't know.
And that I would consider all those people to be like classic or iconic American Hollywood A-listers. Some of them were B-listers, as we call them. All of them famous in the United States. And when people get real famous in the United States, I think Americans just tend to assume that they were born here when they have an American accent. You know, the American accent and the Canadian accent, let's be honest, there's basically no difference.
Unless you're in Newfoundland.
Maybe a few words are pronounced differently. If you're French-Canadian, you're going to have probably a different accent. And depending on where you live, we won't get into the semantics of it. And yeah, America certainly has a lot of accents, but I'm not going to get into all that. I just want to say that this video was extremely fun, interesting. Gives me a lot of appreciation, a lot more appreciation for the talent coming out of Canada that is really shaping a lot of American culture.
Yeah.
To put it like seriously. A lot of Canadians are huge monumental figures in American pop culture, which is awesome. Although it's kind of sad, a lot of Americans don't know it. But
you know, that's how I feel about the Tragically Hip, who are Canadian icons for sure. I'm just surprised they weren't well known in the United States, because New Orleans is sinking, man, and I don't want to swim, right?
Hey, at least I know it now, and you know it. So hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, feel free to leave a comment or give it a like. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada, Canadian culture, stuff I have never seen, feel free to subscribe for more.
Go right ahead.
Until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Yes, thank you very much for watching. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to have you back. I'm glad to have done this list and this video, and we'll see what happens tomorrow, because I expect my computer to do something else wonky that messes up my recording schedule, because nothing in life is supposed to be easy, right? And that's the way she goes, and that's okay. What really matters is that thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this even a little bit as much as I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed this just a little bit, so I hope you enjoyed it a little bit more, and I hope you all just keep being awesome. Bye.
Science, spirit, life. Nerd Pumpkin.